Samantha Bee yesterday, of course, was the big news because Samantha Bee called Ivanka Trump a feckless C-word. Why? Because Ivanka Trump had committed the grave sin of having the gall to photograph herself with her child over Memorial Day weekend. Why, you ask, would this make her a feckless C-word? Well, because apparently at the border, illegal immigrant parents are being separated from their children. What does that have to do with Ivanka Trump? You ask. Nothing. The answer is nothing. But Samantha Bee decided that this made Ivanka Trump a feckless C-word and that she should instead dress sexy for her dad because her dad wants to have sex with her, according to Samantha Bee, and then she should stump for Samantha Bee's preferred immigration policy. Well, all of this broke, and the right, predictably and correctly, went nuts. They said, this is insane. Why would you go after Ivanka Trump this way? We just had a controversy in which Roseanne Barr lost her show for using a racist slur against Valerie Jarrett, and her show actually had ratings, unlike Samantha Bee's show, where 7 people watch it, including Samantha Bee's immediate family, and yet Samantha Bee still gets to remain on air. Now, I'm not calling for Samantha Bee to be fired because, frankly, I think that her viewers got exactly what they were looking for. I think TBS hired her knowing full well what they were getting. I think the Roseanne situation is just a little bit different in the sense that when Roseanne's creators decided to put her on the air, they were not fully expecting that she was going to do this, and it sort of undercuts the integrity of their product. Samantha Bee didn't undercut the integrity of her product. This is her product. Her product is being a vile, terrible person who says vile, terrible things about people who she disagrees with, right? That is her product. So I don't see why she should be thrown off her air for promoting her product. I also don't see why Samantha Bee should apologize, because her apology is going to be fake anyway. Okay, so she did apologize yesterday. She put out a statement saying that she crossed a line, right? Her original apology is just ridiculous. She says, I would like to sincerely apologize to Ivanka Trump and to my viewers for using an expletive on my show to describe her last night. It was inappropriate and inexcusable. I crossed a line and I deeply regret it. Okay. Do you really believe that Samantha Bee deeply regrets it, or is it that advertisers were starting to drop out of her show? I don't think she deeply regrets it. I think that's a bunch of horse poo-poo. I don't think that's correct at all. And then TBS put out its own apology. Quote, Samantha Bee has taken the right action in apologizing for the violent and inappropriate language she used about Ivanka Trump last night. Those words should not have been aired. It was our mistake, too, and we regret it. Well, damn right it's your mistake. Samantha Bee, unlike Roseanne, who's just tweeting out crazy stuff because it was late at night and Roseanne's a crazy person who takes Ambien. Okay, I actually believe her Ambien story in the sense that Roseanne is actually a crazy person and Ambien makes crazy people crazier. It makes sane people a little bit crazier. It doesn't make them racist, but if you're a little racist, it's going to make you more racist, presumably. But in any case, TBS's statement that they are responsible, this is correct. Samantha Bee's rant was scripted. It was put into the script. It was filmed. It was distributed. It was greenlit. Everybody at every step of the way had an opportunity to say, guys, this might be a little over the top, but they didn't, because why would they? Because this is what Samantha Bee does for a living. I mean, there's nothing. And how do I know that this is fake? Here's how I know this is fake. So it demonstrates just how tied in Samantha Bee is to the mentality of the left. You know, what has happened to Samantha Bee over the last 24 hours. There was a tweet from Chris Hayes that was just inane about Roseanne, basically saying that Roseanne's worldview represents a large segment of the Trump base, or a significant segment of the Trump base. That's what he had suggested. There's no evidence to suggest that at all, that large segments of the Trump base believe that Valerie Jarrett looks like an ape or believe that it's appropriate to say such things in the first place, right? That's just absurd, and there's no evidence to support it. There's pretty good evidence to support the idea that a lot of Samantha Bee's base are Hillary Clinton's base, and they all believe what Samantha Bee just said. You know, it's really funny. I was at a wedding for my sister over the weekend, and a person who shall remain nameless came up to me and was talking about politics a little bit, and at one point actually said, I wish someone would shoot Donald Trump. And I said, are you insane? Like, why would you say that? Like, no. That's a no. But he said this in like normal conversation because this is the way a lot of people on the left think. Well, this is also true for Samantha Bee, right? Because Samantha Bee, how do I know that this is also, that her apology was false and that a bunch of people defended her? Because her apology was false and a bunch of people defended her. So first, her fake apology. So she sent that apology. She's so sorry. Then she got an award. I'm not kidding. She got an award from the Television Academy for social change. Right, because she's a good person who infects social change by shouting the C word on air about Ivanka Trump for holding her baby. So here is what Samantha, so this is the funny part. Television Academy does the social change award about freedom in the media, free press, Samantha Bee changing the world, and they bar the press. They legitimately bar the media from essentially a free press celebration award because Samantha Bee was in a lot of hot water. So it doesn't matter. Her speech leaked anyway. And here's what Samantha Bee said. She said, quote, every week I strive to show the world as I see it, unfiltered. Sometimes I should probably have a filter. I accept that. I take it seriously when I get it right, and I do take responsibility when I get it wrong. We spent the day wrestling with the repercussions of one bad word when we all should have spent the day incensed that as a nation we are wrenching children from their parents and treating people legally seeking asylum as criminals. Okay, so you apologize, but it's our fault? So it's my fault. So I got offended that you called Ivanka Trump a C-word, and that's my fault because really I should be more worried about the children at the border, in which case it should be okay that you called her a C-word, in which case it's totally fine to call her a C-word. That's the logic here. Okay, the logic here is that Samantha Bee did nothing wrong, and of course she believes she did nothing wrong. This is all nonsense. There are a bunch of points to make on this particular topic. First of all, I want to point out a bunch of folks on the left actually support Samantha Bee's language. Unlike Roseanne, who found no defenders. Okay, even the people who are saying that she should be left on air were not defending her actual comments. Samantha Bee actually found defenders in the press. She found defenders in Hollywood. It's really absurd. So let's start with Joss Whedon. So Joss Whedon, who's just a gross human, right? He's a gross person. Talented director, gross person, quite possible, happens all the time. Here's what Joss Whedon tweeted, quote, Ivanka legitimized Trump by being pretty and seeming sane. Well, what? Like, why is that her problem? Ivanka legitimized Trump by being pretty and seeming sane, and libs created a kind of sexist Rapunzel narrative that she was trapped. She's from a crime family. She married into a crime family. She's a grown-up. She will do as much damage as she can get away with. Sam was too kind. So, yes, this happens to be a fairly widely held opinion on the left, is that Ivanka Trump is an emissary of evil. And then Sally Field, who you've not heard of for years. Right? It turns out that she doesn't like Ivanka. She really doesn't like Ivanka. She says, I like Samantha Bee a lot, but she is flat wrong to call Ivanka a C-word. C-words are powerful, beautiful, nurturing, and honest. Okay, and so I have a few questions about this. I mean, we can start with the question as to what makes a body part honest. That's kind of weird. I'm not sure why the body part is also nurturing. That was kind of weird as well. But in any case, Sally Field defending the actual commentary. And then there's, of course, a CNN analyst who loved the tweet. CNN analyst named Brian Karam. He tweeted, okay, best tweet of the day, young lady, to Sally Field, who, again, has not been relevant since she did basically Mrs. Doubtfire. I guess she was in Lincoln for like 5 minutes. But she is, of course, an emissary of Hollywood, and Hollywood is very much in favor of Samantha Bee. Kathy Griffin, of course, came out and defended Samantha Bee. No shock there, because Kathy Griffin is gross. What's hilarious is that the mainstream media also defended Samantha Bee. So I just have to give you some of the headlines from the media. Okay, now remember, the headline about Roseanne Barr is Roseanne Barr tweets racist nonsense at Valerie Jarrett, or Roseanne Barr calls Valerie Jarrett an ape, or whatever the headline was, but they were all anti-Roseanne Barr, obviously. Okay, then there's the media's coverage of the Samantha Bee comments. Okay, these are headlines. Okay, here's a headline from USA Today. The headline from USA Today was, Samantha Bee has a message for Ivanka Trump. Has a message for Ivanka Trump? She called her a feckless C-word and suggested that she should have sex with her own father. That's not really a message so much as, calling her a feckless C-word. I mean, imagine if they had run a headline and said, Roseanne Barr has a message for Valerie Jarrett. The whole thing's absurd. This is ridiculous. And here's what the Washington Post went with. Okay, this is their headline. Why the C-word is so taboo, and why some women want to reclaim it. Because you see, Samantha Bee actually was reclaiming the C-word for women by calling another woman the C-word. She was reclaiming feminism means calling women you don't like the C-word. Just like good race relations mean calling people you don't like the N-word. This is what I do. When I want to have good relations with another Jew, the first thing I do is I break out the K-word, and I just use that all the time. I mean, you can ask Jess. Every time I'm angry with Jess, just in order so that we can get close, I use the S word to describe her. It's just something that I do. What in the world? But this is coming from the Washington Post. The C word is taboo, but some women want to reclaim it by calling other women the C word because they hate them. Yes, you definitely reclaimed the C word for feminism. Well done, media. Okay, and then it gets even better. Here's the New York Times headline on this thing. So the New York Times tweeted out, Samantha Bee dedicated nearly 7 minutes of Full Frontal with Samantha Bee to the issue of migrant children before using a crude term to describe Ivanka Trump. She's a hero. Don't you see? She spent minutes talking about immigration policy before she dropped that line. I mean, you could say about Roseanne Barr. So Roseanne Barr created many hours of wonderful entertainment before dropping a crude term to describe Valerie Jarrett. But of course, you would never hear that, right? Because it's idiotic. But New York Times has to defend Samantha Bee. So this is what's hilarious. Chris Hayes spends time trying to proclaim that people on the right support Roseanne Barr and Trump for the same reason, which is that they all think like Roseanne Barr about Valerie Jarrett. No evidence of that. But the entire left comes out essentially in support of Samantha Bee, with maybe one exception over at CNN, Brooke Baldwin, who we'll talk about in a second. And suddenly, we're supposed to believe that they are something different from Samantha Bee. Samantha Bee represents the left far better than Roseanne Barr ever represented the right. This is not in doubt. Okay, this is evidentiarily supported. Of course, that is true. And the basic proof of that, by the way, is that Samantha Bee will not be pulled off the air. The reason that Roseanne Barr was pulled off the air is not just because she said something terrible. It's because the network forecast that what was going to happen is that a bunch of people who watched Roseanne's show were going to turn out and boycott the show. The same will not happen to Samantha Bee. Her ratings will go up after this. A bunch of leftists who love this kind of stuff will go watch her show specifically because they feel the same way about Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump as Samantha Bee.